Hey friends, welcome to Yoga for Dentists. I'm Dr. Josie DeVideo. I'm a longtime dentist, a registered yoga teacher, and a certified wellness consultant. Today I'm chatting with Dr. Aditi Agarwal. She is a dentist in the state of Washington. She's also the co-founder of Practice by Numbers, a software system that helps dental practices run more efficiently, thereby reducing stress. Dr. Agarwal is also a graduate of the Crown of Wellness program, which is a signature program I created specifically for lady dentists to help them go from burnout to breakthrough. And today we're going to be talking about her experience in the program so that you can get an idea of how the program might help you. So consider today the case study of Dr. Aditi Agarwal. Hey,
Hello,
Doc,
Josie.
welcome.
Thank you. Wow, that's quite an introduction.
So, thank you for being with me today. I know you're a very busy woman. You have a lot on your plate, but I want you to take a moment to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your practice, where you're located, what kind of practice you have, and maybe a little bit about your family life as well.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, I'm a dentist, 21 years in general dentistry. I have two startup practices. Well, they're not startups anymore. One I started in 2010 and the other one in 2016. I know, I'm a little crazy, aren't I? um, both practices I still own and run, and also actually still work in them. So until last year, I was full time. I just became part time this year. So it's been a little bit of a shift in my dental life. But I also am co founder, as you mentioned, of a software company called Practice by Numbers, which my husband and I built when I was deep in the trenches of a startup and couldn't figure out how to understand my numbers, couldn't figure out what was going wrong in my practice and how to make things better for myself. And my husband, who's an engineer, was like, well, you should really know your numbers. And I'm like, well, that's awesome, but where do I find these numbers? Who knows, right? And my son, when I started my first startup, was 2.5 years old. He's almost 17 now.
Wow.
And time flies.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was such a struggle being a mom, a new business owner, and obviously all the other roles we play of being a wife, a friend, and a sister or a daughter. I think there are many roles that, for the first probably 10, 15 years of my career, I just put on the back burner because I became the dentist, the business owner. That was me. I don't know where my identity was. I think I was lost because I was so focused on becoming the dentist. And I think a lot of us, and I know a lot of us, become like that, you know. I think sometimes now I look at my 17-year-old and he is always labeling me as a dentist first, you know, because he grew up with that. So my identity to him is that of a dentist. And I'm trying, and I think with Practice by Numbers, I, we built it for me, right? And then slowly evolved. Just as my practice grew, my problems grew. And as my problems grew, my need for solutions grew. And, initially we started out as just trying to solve one problem, but then we slowly morphed to become trying to solve many problems of running a dental office to where we are today. And it's really been a journey for me. And it's more a journey of trying to find my own identity because, we go through life as dentists, coming in a dentistry with the whole aim and goal of wanting to help people.
Right.
And then somehow, somewhere along the way, you forget about that, or that goal sits somewhere in your long list of things that need to get done. And then, as one of my good friends said, you become a human doer, you know?
That's
And
right.
that's what I became, a human doer. And I shirked or not shirked, I would say I put on the wayside a lot of the other roles that fulfill our life, you know? I was not the best daughter, right? Because I didn't have enough time to carve out for my parents. I was not the best sister because I did not have enough time to carve out for my siblings. I was like, oh, I have only so much time in my life. I'm going to spend it, 80% of it in and on my business, 20% on whatever is left in me on my kids, and that's it.
Right. Well, and what you're saying a lot of dentists fall into, right? Because dentistry is a calling. We
Mhm.
spend a lot of time studying to become a dentist, and then we want to be successful at what we're doing, right? And so it does end up sort of taking over if we're not careful.
Yeah,
And that's why you'll always hear me preaching on social media and whatnot that there's more to life than dentistry, right? Like I think cognitively we know that, but we don't live as if that's true.
right.
So help me understand then what was going on in your life when you started hearing about Crown of Wellness and what made you decide that you needed help and that this would be a good fit for you, right? Because there are many wellness coaches out there are many life coaches. And so I always encourage people to ask questions, to vet everyone and see what is a good fit for them at this moment in time, right? Because it might be different. Next year, you might be a better fit in some other program, right? So help the audience understand a little bit more about what was going on specifically that made you feel like this might be a good fit for you.
So, I'm going to fast forward to COVID, right? COVID hit all of us, hit us hard, both as business owners and for me specifically, it challenged the identity I had worked so hard to build. I was a dentist. I had forgotten everything else. And then I am sitting in this identity, which now is being challenged by something larger than life, or, COVID. When we were shut down, I was thinking to myself, well, I'm a mid career dentist. What can I do now? What's
Right.
going to happen? Right? There was so much uncertainty, and dentists don't like uncertainty.
That's right.
And so I think I went through this whole feeling of I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I? I might lose myself in this whole huge identity crisis that I was having. And I really understood at that point that there was not, I have friends outside the dental industry, and I tried to reach out to them, but the support I got was not the support I needed. They were not understanding of the issues of the problems that I had. They minimized my identity crisis, which in my mind was so huge, it filled my room.
Right.
And that's when I started to look for somebody in the dental field that I could talk to, reach out to, and who had understood the problems that I was going through because they were in my profession.
Yes.
And that's how, through the Facebook groups, when I heard about, you, Josie, and then I talked to Linty, and she was like, Josie's great. And I, went through some of your Facebook posts, and what you said resonated with me. And I was like, at this point where I'm in the middle of a crisis in my mind, where not my family or my friends that are outside of dentistry are not understanding this existential crisis that I'm going through. I need to find somebody who can, who will, who does, and truly understand it. And that's how and why I reached out and joined the Crown and Wellness program.
Excellent. So, what were you expecting the program to be like, right? Like we tend to have preconceived notions, maybe what people are telling us or what you notice is being posted. What were you expecting the program to be like? And then what did it end up being for you?
Well, I expected, to have a group of people where I could communicate my problems and maybe we could come up with creative solutions, hoping that their problems were similar to mine. And that I did receive from the group. Also, the one-on-one coaching calls was a great sounding board for me specifically, because many times it helped me draw the conclusions that I needed to come to when I had somebody just speak back to me what I was feeling and put it in perspective. And I really received that well from you. Then the other part is, of course, the breath work and the yoga. I am a firm believer in yoga. I have actually been practicing yoga for a while, I would say, since my daughter was born. I started it due to physical reasons and continued due to mental. I'm not very regular now, unfortunately, but I am a firm believer of the benefits of yoga and breath work and incorporating these multiple facets that you have done with the program is what I really liked about it because you are looking at physical wellness with the breath work and the yoga, and you are looking at mental wellness where we get to talk one-on-one with you and you are a sounding board, and then you're looking at emotional wellness where you have the group of people that we can connect with who are at most times going through the same pain points that you are.
Yeah.
So I love this three-pronged approach to the wellness program.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? I mean, we cover many things in the program. The program is 6 months long intensively with an additional 6 months to continue practicing what we've learned. So, in that time frame, what are your biggest takeaways from the program?
My biggest takeaways, honestly, for me was the mental and emotional part, because I think that was the support that I was looking for, and I truly enjoyed listening to my peers and contributing without judgment, which was really refreshing because as a dentist practicing in isolation, we're taught to not talk to the dentist down the street for fear of competition. you know this is something that has been ingrained in us, and it was refreshing to be able to talk to these women who are undergoing same or similar issues and really get their point of view without judgment. So I truly, for me, that part was the biggest help.
Now, let's speak to a dentist who right now might be feeling how you were feeling when you first joined the program, right? What's one piece of advice that you would give that dentist?
You don't know what's bothering you really and until you talk to somebody to figure out. What this program does is because it compartmentalizes the physical, the mental, and the emotional, it really helps you understand where your problem lies because it's really hard to self diagnose that. And I didn't even realize what was bothering me till I entered the program, like which piece of it helped me the most. And so, in my opinion, for a dentist who wants to go in, one thing is you should open your heart, open your mind, right? And just be ready to receive. And then you can decide, maybe a month into the program, which one works, which piece works best for you. And you can start leaning on that piece a little bit more and really help transform your life.
Now, you mentioned earlier that as a mid-career dentist during COVID, right, it sort of was a eye-opening experience,
Mhm.
right? Maybe
Yeah.
like for lack of a better phrase, a midlife crisis, so to
Yeah.
speak, of like,
Yeah. A dental life crisis.
yeah, a mid-dental life crisis. So I have found it interesting over the years in doing this work. The program was originally designed for people like me, mid-career dentists who were burnt out and struggling with these things. But it's been interesting over the years to see dentists in different stages of their career join the program. So I have had people who are, getting close to retiring and just needing help mentally transitioning or thinking about that. And I've had dentists who are, pretty young. I mean, like in their early 30s, just out of dental school and within 5 years are already experiencing burnout. So, in your opinion, because I know you meet a lot of dentists, right? Dr. Agarwal is all over. I'm sure you have met her before, and if not, you will meet her soon because she goes everywhere. So, in your opinion, what kind of dentist will the Crown of Wellness program help? Right? What are the issues they are dealing with? Or, like you said, maybe they don't know exactly what the issue is, but what might they be feeling or going through?
It's interesting you asked me that. It depends on, again, the stage of dentistry that you are in. I think for me, I can only speak to what I've already experienced. An early career dentist is struggling with a few things, right? They're struggling with just honing in their clinical skills and trying to be the fastest, bestest dentist there is, right?
Mhm.
They're struggling with, if they're new business owners, what the heck did they take on, right? Because we don't get any kind of business training, and you really don't understand what it means to run a small business till you run a small business.
Right.
And a lot of people have a lot of problems differentiating between being a dentist and being a business owner. Are they one and the same? Are they together? It's very confusing, especially when you're young and your family is young. Those are the challenges I would say that start to knock you down,
Yeah.
right? Not to mention the staffing challenges, how to address staff as a young dentist, right? Because you're young, you're a woman, you've got legacy staff sometimes that shoot you down, shoot your ideas.
Right.
Like, do we really need to get that CT machine? You know, they don't see it. And then you feel like you're in this uphill battle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are climbing uphill alone and you're dragging behind you this huge sack of boxes, lab cases, let's just say, right? And it's massive. And you feel like the weight keeps growing and growing. And there just is no way because, it's the statute of limitations. You got to keep those cases for
Right.
7 years. And you're dragging on, and the number of cases just keeps getting bigger, and you really don't know what to do. And you come to a point where you just can't bear the load anymore, and you want to give up
Yeah.
or give in. And this is where Crown of Wellness will help, right? It will help you understand what is going on. Are you alone? Are you the only person dragging those lab cases up that hill? Or are there others who are doing this or have done it or have ways to maybe find storage units on the way uphill?
Yeah.
That's one of the ways, right? For a mid career dentist like me, it helped tremendously because I was in an identity crisis. And then, you get bored. It's you are doing the same thing day in and day out, right? With, yes, some changes if you still want to challenge yourself clinically. Some of us don't want to do new procedures, right? Take the time to learn new stuff. There's a lot of things that go into that. There's fear factor. There's, oh, that's a huge investment. Am I going to be able to recoup that investment? There are many, many reasons where we kind of hit a pause. And when you're in your pause, you don't know who you are anymore because you've been playing this business owner slash dentist role for so long that now if somebody asks you to change, you're like, wait, what? You know?
Right.
I think that's one of the other places the crown of wellness helps because it helps you understand, okay, where are we, right? Is there a way to get unstuck, right? Because you're stuck in this loop. Is there
Right.
joy
Hmm.
beyond this loop, right? You're on this hamster wheel and you're just running, right? That's where I came in. And then, and this I can tell from all my travels and meeting other dentists, you know, selling your practice is like selling a part of you.
Hmm.
I have not experienced it yet, but I know it will be like that. And I have, again, had many conversations with many dentists who have sold. And whether they choose to admit it or not, it is like selling a piece of you
Yes.
because you built that from the ground up. You poured in all the hours, all your blood, sweat, and tears, you know, in making that something. And sometimes, actually, all the time, it is as precious as your children.
Yeah.
And, just preparing to sell has a lot of emotion that goes into it. And you know how they say how to separate business from pleasure? When business and pleasure become one, it's really, really hard, especially if you've been in practice 30, 40 years. You feel like, but this is me.
Right.
How can I separate it? I understand I'm getting old. I need to, or I'm financially secure. I don't need to work as much as anymore. I need to, or for whatever reason that you decide to sell your practice, it is still trying to figure out how to separate your yourself from your personal self from your business self. And that I think is going to be a journey. And I know the Crown of Wellness can help with
Awesome. Thank you. One thing that I think is interesting about the work that we do in Crown of Wellness is that the more you practice, the more it becomes sort of intuitively embedded in your own being.
that. Mhm.
And I wanted you to share the story that you told me. I recently ran into Dr. Agarwal at a dental event, and she was telling me about an experience that she had in her hotel room. And I thought it was really cute and actually special, but also telling to how much to heart she took the work that she did in the program. So, do you want to share the story about your ironing?
Oh my gosh. I know that's kind of funny, isn't it, Josie? Josie and I were recently both at an event where we met a lot of dentists who are both our colleagues and friends, and in my case, also, users of Practice by Numbers. As you guys know, have multiple roles. I am, like I said, a practicing dentist, also as a founder of Practice by Numbers. And at this event, it was so great. It was so fun. I was so exhausted, but uh, I think I was telling Josie that I flew in, my flight was delayed, and I came straight away to one of the events, which is late, ended late at night, And with the time difference, I was up in the morning at my Practice by Numbers booth, helping my team members there. And between, being the co-founder of Practice by Numbers and being at the booth and attending some of the lectures and doing the social stuff with my friends, which I wanted to do, uh, I was exhausted. And, Josie and I were talking about how hard it is to get rest or get to sleep when you're exhausted. And sometimes you need a few minutes or sometimes even up to an hour to decompress. And a lot of us find different ways of decompressing. Uh, you know, and I don't think social media is one of them because I think you become compressed again rather
Yeah.
than decompressing when you're lying in bed scrolling through social. And I was, the dentist in me needed to do something with my hands. And I got to my room and it was late. I think it was already midnight. And I was still energized by all, you know, the energy we had had at the event. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do to bring down this energy and center myself? Because tomorrow I have to be up early and at the booth. I took a hot shower, I drank some warm tea, and I was still energized. And then I was like, okay, I do have to get my clothes ready for the next day. And so I pulled out the ironing board and the iron, and I just started ironing, started with ironing one set of clothes for my next day. And I started noticing that my energy started to calm down. It just slowly started to become doing this mundane task without using my brain and just using my hands felt really, really good. It felt so good that I said, I'm just going to go ahead and iron whatever I need to wear the next day and the next. And I think I spent about half an hour just quietly, no sound, no music, no no social, no nothing. Just quietly ironing my clothes. And by the time I was ironing my last set of clothes, I started yawning. I was sleepy. I was tired. And I was calm. And when I was done, I turned off the lights and got into bed and I woke up refreshed and happy. So it's so funny that sometimes doing simple tasks help you lose your stress or helps you dissipate your energy or your stress, whether it's, anxiety from your work or something that you carry from your day at work, or sometimes it's anxiety from your kids or your spouse. And sometimes it's just energy which changes into anxiety where you are buzzed, your adrenaline can't stop running,
Right.
right? And so doing simple, mundane tasks, like I was telling Josie, which we both were laughing about, but it was so transformative for me that, just pulling out an ironing board and ironing your clothes, doing something with your hands, uh, just simple movements helped me so much.
Yes, we were joking that even ironing can be a meditative process if you have the mindset for it. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. It's all about shifting your mindset and saying, what can we do to calm yourself down? Right?
Yes. Awesome. Well, Dr. Agarwal, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me today to share your experience in the Crown Wellness Program with anyone who is watching or listening to this episode. If anyone wants to learn more about you or practice by numbers, which is a great system for reducing stress, as I said, so I want to send them to your website, which is practicenumbers.com. You can also follow Dr. Aditi Agarwal on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Practice by Numbers. Thank you very much for being here. I wish you the best of luck with all of your future endeavors and all of your travels and as you go around the country teaching people about practice by numbers and how they can use it to be more efficient and therefore reduce stress in their practices. Thank you very much.
Thank
Be well, friends.
thank you so much, Josie. It was a pleasure.